Well, hello everybody, Mr. Snow here again for another Go Play. It's another game that has been out for quite a while that, you've probably heard of already. To be fair though, this was released on Steam, I think a week ago, maybe, something along those lines. And I thought it was new, but I guess it was already out on Switch for the longest time, or like a year now. Anyway, I'm going to talk about it. It's called Inmost. Let's get into this. I'm gonna go ahead and say this will be a very soft recommendation. This is absolutely a game that wants to be a story more than a game, and I see no reason why they couldn't have just made a short film, other than the pixel art probably wouldn't have been justifiable. Anyway, let's get into this. We're going to start with the characters because it'll make the story section easier to tell. You have 3 playable characters, whose names will be the ones used in the wiki. So you've got the hero, the girl, and the knight. Just to go over quick gameplay, the girl and the hero are both puzzle platformers. The girl, however, moves around at a much slower pace and is more limited in movement. The knight is where the gameplay shines in my opinion. The knight is more combat-oriented, definitely the fastest paced, and aside from missing a jump option, has the best mobility. Getting into the character of our characters, we have 3 major characters but only 2 are playable. The girl is the easiest. She's in a house with a neglectful mother and father who is working all the time. She's exploring a house and her imaginary friend who has convinced her, or I suppose more accurately she convinced herself, that the man and woman she lives with kidnap children. So she's trying to escape. The knight and the hero are in actuality the same character. The knight is just a metaphorical version of the hero. So the knight is running around fighting black goo monsters and stealing their precious gems in an attempt to get a super special flower. The hero is running around a castle getting himself into trouble and searching for those same little light gems. I'll get into this later when I address the story. The third major character is the wife of the hero. She also may or may not be the big scary goo monster in the knight's story. Me personally, I think that's what is supposed to be the case, but again, I'll get deeper into that later. But pretty much she's depressed and unwilling to care for the girl. This depression ends up turning into violent aggression. Naturally. Alrighty then, the story. A lot of smaller details are up to interpretation, but I'm about 99% sure of the major details. This is because the end of the game is a big exposition dump. I'll start with the girl. Her story largely revolves around her imagination running wild. She thinks the man and woman she stays with abduct kids and do bad things, so she runs around the house, pokes around, finds a creepy basement full of old children's toys. She has a freak out and takes it out on Mommy Dearest, who finally snaps. We'll come back to that because I think it's a good spot to talk about the hero/knight. So his story is almost entirely metaphorical. There's goo monsters everywhere representing pain. Not any specific pain, just general, emotionally owie pain. The hero can't fight the goo monsters directly, he has to dodge around and outsmart them. He avoids pain to go get the little glowy crystals. The knight can fight the pain, and it is heavily implied he's stealing the glowy crystals from everything else to give it to the keeper. The keeper takes the bulk of the crystals, giving a small percentage back to the knight. The keeper is the big scary goo monster alluded to earlier in the video. As stated, this is all metaphorical. The knight is specifically trying to make the keeper happy, but nothing is working while the hero is getting a trip down memory lane. Again, as mentioned before, in this he avoids pain at all costs and scrounges around for crystals, which I'm more than positive are supposed to be some amount of happiness. I'm under the impression, supported from earlier statements that the hero stays out of the home a lot working, that these segments as the hero and knight are the guy going to work, coming home, trying to be a good father and husband, and getting absolutely no love in return. So the dramatic conclusion is hero coming home from work, finding the aftermath of the mom's psychotic breakdown mentioned in the girl's story. There's blood everywhere and the mom is dead because she wanted to kill herself and the husband to rejoin their dead daughter. Because we find out the girl is adopted! The hero's biological child committed suicide and sometime later he came across a burning building where the girl was the only survivor. Hero adopted her to do the right thing. Mama was none too pleased with this, however. Well, she dies and the hero saves the girl, again. Or at least that's how I interpreted it. You see a scene set several years down the road with an old hero and an adult woman, I believe to be the grown-up version of the girl, sitting together on a park bench talking. The end. The girls section sucked. You're slow, limited mobility, all you have to do are simple ladder puzzles, and you're slow. The only reason these segments are in the game is for the artsy-fartsy story they want to tell. Well, story has gotten in the way of gameplay. I wouldn't be as upset about it if she was at least moving like the hero. Sure, it wouldn't make sense in lore, but it'd be more enjoyable, and I'm willing to suspend my disbelief. On that note, I'd have much preferred the entire game was night segments. Night was so much more fun than the other two. I felt like I was slogging through the girl, walking through the hero, but when it came to night, I had a lot of fun. Only problem I had with the night segments was you couldn't die. It was pretty easy also otherwise. Why did the devs make it this way? Simple. This game wants to be a story more than a game. Really, and this is the biggest problem I have with the game, you could just watch a 100% playthrough on YouTube and get the experience of the game. It looks good and the soundtrack is great, but you could always just buy the soundtrack off the Steam store and enjoy that on its own. I've talked about it enough, but the night sections were very, very fun. I wish Chucklefish would develop a game where they flesh that out more. Make dying possible, maybe giving you a jump, that sort of thing. They did a good job with the movement and simplistic combat. You can string together attacks and dodges smoothly. Again, I'm gonna beat this dead horse. The devs should use the knight's mechanics for an entire game, not just a small quarter of it. I'll give the game credit where it's due. The climax of the story did have me on the edge of my seat. I was truly paranoid the girl wasn't gonna make it and would be murdered by the adoptive mother. The scene was set up really well, and I was wondering if maybe some gameplay choices or not collecting all the little crystals was gonna kill off the girl. Well, it didn't. She lives. But then again, missing multiple endings, in my opinion, is a point against this game, as that further deteriorates any reason why you would play it instead of just watching it. Now, you may be asking why I'm recommending the game. I've not had much good to say about it. Well, dear viewer, I recommend it in the same way people would recommend an interesting case study. This is not a good game, but it's a good story. A story I think would have been much better served as a short film or something of the like. Because what did making it a game accomplish? Not a whole lot, I'd argue. The bulk of the story is given to you at the ending cutscene, leaving the only thing left for the player to figure out are smaller details that really don't matter. Is the keeper supposed to be the wife? Probably. Does it matter? Not really. Wife couldn't handle an adopted child after her own died and goes crazy. That's about all you need to know about her. Dad was trying his best to make everyone happy, but was failing until the very end. That's really all you need to know about him. The little girl was apparently never told she was adopted, but comes to accept her new dad after a life-changing event. And that's all you really need to know about her. Yeah, Inmost. How do I put it? I do recommend the game. It's a very, 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 very soft recommendation because it's like I've said, this should not have been a game. I think it should have been like a short film or something along those lines. But then you couldn't get away with the pixel art, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that was the deciding factor right there. Because there's not much game to it. I mean, the hero has some interesting puzzle platforming, but once you get into the swing of things, it's really not all that hard. You can't die, because, you know, it just keeps resetting you. It's really no reason for it to be a game rather than a story. It was a pretty good story, though. Like, you know, I wish it would have been told better. You know, you don't dump everything at the very end, you know? Because you do find, you go to the castle, and in the castle you see a girl jump off the building and presumably commit suicide. And you don't know the significance of that until they spell it out for you at the very end. So yeah, there's that. And another thing, I was under the impression up until the very end that the girl's portions and the hero's portions, they were happening in the same reality, but nope, that they're all three happening in different realities. The girl is in the most grounded reality, the hero is in kind of a mix, and then the knight is in a full-on metaphorical thing, whatever you want to call it. But it did get me talking. It held my attention the entire time. So yeah, I would agree. Go play it. Like I said, very soft. Go play. Try to get it on sale, if at all possible. It's only about what, $15 anyway. But yeah, definitely try and get it on sale. That's all I have to say about that. I hope you have a great rest of your day.